Hey, if you've ever thought about buying rural land, this one's worth a listen. We're talking about wildfire risk and, more importantly, how to actually manage it. Welcome back to the Land Buyer's Guide. I'm your host, Scott Thomas, owner of landparker.com, where we help everyday people get onto rural land with affordable owner financing, sometimes as low as $100 down and $100 a month. So if land ownership feels out of reach right now, we might be able to change that. But today, let's dig into something that comes up a lot when people are looking at rural properties, especially out west or in drier parts of the country. Wildfire risk. And look, I don't want this to be a scary conversation. The goal here is just to help you think through it early, because the people who handle this stuff best are the ones who plan ahead, not the ones who panic after the fact. So let's start at the very beginning. Before you even buy a piece of land, when you're doing your due diligence on a property, and you should always be doing due diligence, fire risk is worth looking into. Most states have fire hazard severity zone maps, and a lot of them are free through the state forestry department. Takes maybe 20 minutes to look up, worth every second. Beyond the maps, think about the actual terrain. Fire moves faster uphill. So if you're looking at a steep piece of ground with a lot of dry brush around it, that's something to factor in. That doesn't mean walk away. It just means go in with your eyes open and plan accordingly. The vegetation on and around the land matters too. Dense dry brush, pine forests, open grasslands, those all carry more fire potential than, say, a rocky desert lot with sparse ground cover. And it's worth doing a little research into the property's fire history. County records, local fire departments, even just talking to neighbors in the area. People who've lived somewhere a long time usually know things that won't show up in any official document. Again, this isn't about scaring you off a property. It's about making an informed decision and knowing what you're getting into. All right, so let's say you've got your land. Now what? One of the most important concepts in fire safety for rural homeowners is what's called defensible space. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the buffer zone around your home that gives firefighters room to work and slows fire down before it reaches your structure. Most fire safety folks break this into two zones. The first zone is everything within about 30 feet of your home. This is where you want to be the most careful. Keep the grass mowed. Clear out dead leaves, dry plant debris, anything that's going to burn easily. Space out your shrubs and trees so fire can't just hop from one to the next. And move things like wood piles or propane tanks away from the side of the house. Using gravel or stone near the foundation instead of wood mulch is a smart move in that zone too. The second zone stretches from 30 feet out to about 100 feet. This one's more about reducing how intense a fire would be before it even gets close to your structure. Trim up the lower branches on your trees. Getting those lowest limbs up 6 to 10 feet off the ground is a good general target. Create some spacing between tree canopies so fire can't travel from crown to crown. Clear out any big piles of dry brush or leaf litter that have built up out there. Now here's what a lot of people don't realize. Your landscaping choices actually have a huge impact on fire safety, and you can do this in a way that still looks good and feels natural on your property. Some plants are just more fire resistant than others. Things with high moisture content, low resin, plants that don't accumulate a bunch of dead material. Succulents are a great example. Lavender is another one. A lot of native ground covers depending on where you are. Grouping plants into islands rather than planting them in long, continuous rows is smarter too, because a long row of vegetation basically becomes a fire path. If you're in a drier region, watering your landscaping during dry season makes a real difference in if you have the water access to do it. And if you've got invasive dry grasses spreading across your land, getting those under control is worth the effort. Dry grass spreads fire across open ground fast. One more thing on the landscaping front, if you've got garden beds near the house, consider swapping wood chip mulch for gravel or decomposed granite. It looks great and it doesn't burn. Now, if you're building on your land, the materials you choose matter a lot. Metal roofing is popular among homesteaders for a reason. It's one of the more fire-resistant options you've got. Fiber cement siding and stucco hold up better than wood in high-risk areas. Double pane windows and tempered glass handle radiant heat better than single pane. Enclosed eaves, vented soffits with fine mesh screens. Those help keep embers out of your structure. And covering your vents and crawl spaces with a small gauge metal mesh, something like 1/8 of an inch, blocks embers from sneaking in through the openings. The thing is, you don't have to do all of this at once. Even making a few of these improvements over time adds up to meaningfully better protection. Start with what makes the most sense for your situation and build from there. Let's talk infrastructure for a second, because this one gets overlooked a lot. If you got a well or a water storage tank on your property, look into whether you can set up a pump system that runs independently of the power grid. In an emergency, you don't want to be relying on electricity that might already be out. Make sure your driveway or access road is clearly marked so emergency vehicles can actually find your place. And think about width. A 12-foot wide driveway with enough overhead clearance is a common guideline for fire truck access. Not always possible on every property, but worth keeping in mind if you're planning improvements. Keep your gutters and roof clear of leaves and pine needles, especially heading into dry season. It's one of those things that's easy to forget and easy to fix. And honestly, have a go bag ready. Documents, medications, the things you'd need if you had to leave fast. Just having that ready takes a lot of stress off in a situation where time matters. Last thing I want to mention, and this one's simple but really valuable, stay connected to your community. Sign up for your county's emergency alert system. Follow your local fire department on social media. Get to know your neighbors. Rural communities often pass critical information through informal networks way faster than any official channel. And look into whether there's a fire safe council or community preparedness group in your area. These are people who know your local fire conditions better than anyone. So to wrap it all up, wildfire risk is a real thing for rural property owners, but it's absolutely manageable. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to build a perfect fireproof fortress before you move in. You just want to be thoughtful about it, do your homework when you're buying, and make smart incremental improvements over time. That's really what it comes down to. Whether you're still searching for the right piece of land or you're already out there putting down roots, building a fire-smart homestead is just part of taking good care of the investment you're making. All right, that's a wrap for today. If you're thinking about buying rural land and you want to see what's actually available and affordable right now, head over to landparker.com. We've got properties across the country with owner financing that makes getting started a whole lot more accessible than most people expect. Go check it out, landparker.com. We'll see you next time.